What's up, Conquerors? We have an Age of Empires 4 coaching session for our friend PoorMimi, who's actually online right now. Hello. And the game PoorMimi wanted me to review. I actually couldn't find in match history, which was a bit weird, but it was a forts game from May 1st, which shows up on AoE4 World, but not here. PoorMimi's Platinum 1 right now. 50 games played this season. Bunch of games played last season, 123. A lot more in Season 5 as well. So, looks like we're pretty much at Plat each season that we're playing, not really progressing past there. So, we'll see what we can do to give you some tips, help you improve there. I'm going to pick this forts game that you lost against English, because you had a very unfortunate matchup of playing Ottomans against English, which can be tough at times. So we kind of want to see what you did here. So we're going to switch to your view. I kind of like caster mode, so we're going to see what you do in caster mode. And of course, you have to take everything with a grain of salt here. I can see the entire map. I'm not switching back and forth between your views, so we'll speed through the first part here. Key part of the... So normally when you play Ottomans, you always want to go for your military school immediately. In the matchup of Ottomans versus English, you do not want to do that. That's I would say, a critical error in the matchup. It can lose you the game very early if you go military school against English, because they'll hit feudal very quickly. And yellow does not do that in this game, because I've already watched the game. He goes Abbey of Kings. But if he just went, even if he just went Council Hall at the beginning of the game and surrounded your base with longbows, he would have torn you up. So there are some things we want to look for in this game. And kind of general strategy, what do we do in this matchup, and then some nitpicky things we can talk about. I don't play a whole lot of forts. It's an odd map, and you can see it's even a little odd in the different placements y'all have. Like, you don't really have great wood on this map. English guy has a literal wood barrier into his base. Like, his base would be very easy to wall off at the front, this entire area with the wood. So the reason you do not immediately build a military school against English is that your military school can only produce spearmen, and your spearmen cannot do anything against the English early game. There's a number of reasons for that. One is that the English have bow. So if the English villagers really wanted to, like if you sent a Dark Age spearman over here to harass, they would just kill your spearman. They'd just shoot him to death with the bows and kite him. And the second thing is, as soon as the English guy ages up to feudal, he just makes longbows and kills your spears. So your Dark Age military school, it just gets no value. You know, normally you can raid with these spearmen or protect or whatever, but there's no value gathered here. And it's very interesting. This yellow guy comes all the way out to the deer. So if we had played this game a little differently, and based off what he does here, if we had said no military school, we go straight to feudal and we make a stable for Sipahi, we probably could have punished this a bit, which we weren't able to do. And the other thing we had was a lot of villager walk time in Dark Age. So you had 5 guys go to the stone, and you had 5 guys build this military school all the way over here, and you had 5 guys walk all the way back to the other side to the straggler tree. And I have to assume that's, you know, that's a lot of time that you spent in the Dark Age, just your villagers just walking. So it's pretty key in this matchup as you get behind and he eventually white tower rushes you, that You were initially behind just because of kind of villager efficiency reasons in Dark Age, and you don't have enough sheep here, so you're getting sheeped out. So I'm kind of talking about small nitpicky things in here in Dark Age. A lot of people say, you know, why does Dark Age matter? You could literally just spawn in Feudal Age. Dark Age doesn't last that long. Dark Age matters because the more efficient you are with your resources and your villagers, the faster you get to Feudal. And if you use Dark Age aggression, which that's a whole nother thing, hard to do it against English. But small nitpicky thing here, you know, we want to drop off our sheep where the sheep already are. We don't want our villagers to walk around the town center to get to the sheep. It's a waste of time for your villagers to walk from one side of the town center to the other to harvest sheep. Like we want to maximize our villager efficiency, which means as little walk time as possible. We just had 11 villagers walk around the town center to get sheep. And you might listen to that in this video and say, like, dude, that's not a big deal. My villagers are just walking to get the sheep. It's a lot of idle time, and so you could have aged up earlier. If you hadn't gone Dark Age military school and your villager efficiency was a bit better, you'd probably almost already be up to feudal. So we're going to see here, he's going to shoot your spearman to death, which is, I feel for you on this. I feel bad for you watching that. As someone who has, when I first started playing Ottoman, done this exact same thing and had all my spearmen die, hurts my heart to see that. He goes Abbey of Kings. It's fine. Again, if he went Council, he could just kill you. But he does go Abbey of Kings. And when we hit feudal, we want to be thinking about what units do we want to build. You build a stable, which is, I think, fine. We do want to make sure we scout and see that he's making the Abbey of Kings, so you know whether you're about to get blasted with longbowmen or whether you're going to have to deal with the king. So you go Twin Minaret Madrasa. I personally, myself, like the other landmark for the gold, but I understand, you know, if you want safe food with the berries, makes total sense. You can have 4 villagers on the berries. Sheep, again, we don't drop sheep off in areas which are not by the villagers already harvesting sheep. We put sheep in the same area. Same area and as close to under the town center as you can get them, so the villagers have reduced walk time. Again, it's small things. You know, you gotta kind of get some small things right to have your overall game plan work. And I would have loved if you had not gone Dark Age military school, aged up faster, had Sipahi, you could have punished this very greedy deer grab he did out there. And general strategy tip, we always want to have a scout scouting this enemy base, and you have one coming around here because we want to see, has he mined stone, is he going second town center, or how many guys does he have on gold, is he going to go castle. And your scout's gonna see this, I think, but we can see this guy's going castle, right? He's got 20 guys on gold, and we need to be prepared for what's gonna happen, which is a white tower drop. Conversely, he could have just thrown down the King's Palace and started making armored units. If he had thrown down King's Palace and started pumping out men-at-arms or knights, you would have been also in a bit of trouble here. You got some troops up, which is good. And here comes the drop. So your scout's going to see this. And since you're a bit behind, you don't quite have the time to react, right? You do have some units up, but they're a bit out of position. He was purposely letting you chase these guys around so that he could move the villagers around your army when it be there. So scout sees him. Army should immediately rotate. And I mean, he's gonna get this up, right? Like, you're not gonna be able to stop this at this point. You try to kill as many villagers as you can, and then before it's up, you just get out. Once it gets about 75%, just pull your guys out, live to fight another day. You don't want to lose your units. You're gonna lose your guys here. You don't want to chase the king. So here's what I would recommend in this situation, since I know this is a pain and the bind to play against. If we kind of had already gone Dark Age Military School, fallen behind, we talked about that against English. If we have a guy pull and get the White Tower up, and we're like, well, crap, he's got the White Tower up in our base. One, before it finishes, we got to get our units out of there. We can't have our feudal units under the White Tower. It's just going to kill them. And what you want to do at this point is find areas to counterattack, which I know is going to be hard because a lot of this stuff's under the town center. But we have to try to find ways to stop him from getting resources at this point. So gold over here, we could constantly raid this gold with Sipahi over and over and over again. Again, we lost some guys under here, which we really needed those Sipahi to go to the base and hit the gold. He's going to make rams, but if we hit the gold, that'll stop him from making the Castle Age units and items like trebuchets, springolds, mangonels, knights, men-at-arms. So we can survive a ram. We can't survive Castle Age units right now. So that's why you need to go hit the gold. You get to raid here with the king. And see, we've got some Sipahi sitting in the base. We never want horsemen just sitting in the base. We want horsemen out with a scout raiding enemy economy. Because the horsemen just can't do anything right here, right? Like, the horsemen aren't going to do anything for you. You need the horsemen out of the base. Thought she did a good job here. Garrison Town Center hit villagers. Pull to take out the ram. I thought she did a good job there. You inflicted some pain there, which I liked. So, again, he's kind of kicking your butt right now with the White Tower drop, but the game is still not over at this point because you may have gotten 10 villager kills right there. It's 35 to 27 right now. So, at some point, you idled your town center, and he got 2 villagers up on you. But again, he has no units right now. He's got 1 trebuchet. These Sipahi need to be killing these gold villagers. And let's say you start camping right here with your cavalry. And you attack a unit, he pulls everybody back to the town center. You just pull your guys out. You don't chase under the town center. Every time these villagers come back out of the mine, you hit them again. And they have to pull back again. And then you hit them again. You could even have 2 archers out here that just shoot them anytime they move up. So, see, he's gonna wall up here, which was actually a great idea. If he wanted to end the game right now, he should just build more trebuchets. Excuse me, and kill both your landmarks, right? Like, that's what I thought he was gonna do. He doesn't do that initially, but I thought he was just going full trebuchet right here. And again, this ram was fine, but we got to make sure we're able to protect the ram. And he's got a springled out, so he can't really do that. And this is where denying the gold in the base would have saved you from this springled. I know he's got a lot of gold stacked right now, but each springled costs 250. When this White Tower went up, you had been constantly hitting this gold, that massively delays the springled and the trebuchet that eventually come out, which are going to cost you a heap of problems. We don't want the military school making spears at this point. We don't have anything that spears can kill other than the king. I would have it on Sipahi. So you go castle here. And again, what units should be doing right now? What I would have is like a couple spears defending berries, maybe 1 or 2 on gold, other spears out here on wood, and Sipahi and archers would raid. Yeah, I mean you could keep the archers home as well, but Sipahi should go raid. You need to kind of always think about like how can I put pressure on the enemy? If the enemy is 10 feet from my base, and that's where all his units are, and his defensive landmark is, where can I pressure? You got to be able to pressure his eco somewhere on the map just to alleviate the pressure on you, right? You got to get him out of your base. The only way to do that's counterattack. And I mean, you could get in here with the Sipahi back here into the wood line, wreak some havoc. But at this point, I mean, it's gonna be tough to come back at this point. It's not that you can't, but it'll be tough. He's making a Mangano. I think possibly even earlier, if you had gone, even if you hadn't gone castle right here, and you had just made a crap ton of Sipahi and rams, you probably could have had the rams take down the white tower and you'd clean the rest of the stuff with Sipahi. So, I mean, I don't hate the decision to try to get, I would maybe get Springolds to try to kill the siege here. But I think you could have just gone mass Sipahi and rams. He doesn't really make units here. It's just siege, and we need the rams to kill the white tower. And see, you break through here, but we need more horsemen, more Sipahi, and you would have this. The spearmen don't really do anything for us here. You call GG. So key takeaways here. I know I went through that fast, and I don't know if that was particularly helpful for you or not, but key takeaways on this fort game. 1, you don't go Dark Age military school against English. It's a critical mistake. You need to just go for feudal, and then if you want to throw up your military schools and switch them from spearmen to Sipahi, that's fine. But you probably want to go feudal and immediately make a stable and make Sipahi, and then get your military school and stuff up. Because the chance of that guy longbow rushing you because you're playing Ottoman is high. And even in the situation here where he doesn't do that, you need the Sipahi to constantly attack the English economy. So if you look at timeline, like you had him in total unit count, had him in military count by a mile, had him in economy count because when he built that tower, you killed a lot of villagers. That was a critical mistake by him. And it's always hard to tell in game. I think in that particular situation, you could have gone mass Sipahi and rams and killed that forward white tower based on what he did. But again, we really need the Sipahi to counter raid and help us out there. If you were going to go castle, you would have had to have been counterattacking some of his eco to delay the siege / military he was going to get. Kind of a mistake by him not to build more military units and just go into siege. It worked, but it's very risky on his part. And you made a lot of spearmen in this matchup, and the only cavalry unit the guy had was the king, which I grant. The king is a pain to deal with, but we needed more Sipahi in that matchup than we had. I wanted to see if you were floating resources bad at any time. I mean, not particularly bad. There were some times you had about 400 wood, but you were probably building rams at that point. So those are some things I think you could do better in that matchup that would help. I'm about to look at a second game that you did. And we're going to go through this one quickly. because we're already at 20 minutes here. But again, we're playing Ottoman against Byzantine. I used to play a lot of Ottoman when I was not before this patch, so I haven't really played them against Byzantine. So you go get your military school. We want to move these sheep as close to under the town center as you can. If you click an individual sheep, you can kind of right-click it right there, and that will be helpful. So you do this in both games. You don't need 5 villagers to build the military school. It might be easier for you if you don't have like a lot of actions per minute to just have them build it, but I wouldn't do that if I were you. I would just have one villager build the military school and one villager build the house, and then they can chop the 50 wood that you need. You know, you could have 3 guys chopping wood right now if you're trying to get the 50 wood for the mining camp for the gold. And I think it's fine to go military school in this matchup. You know, Byzantine has that little buff they can give their villagers for they're hard to kill. They get the spear and everything like that, but you just have to micro your spearmen a little bit. So I would like to see you not using 5 villagers to build military school and house. That's a bit of a... When we were talking about villager efficiency earlier, like you don't really need 5 villagers to build that, right? So I think something for you to work on here is when we get our first spearmen, we should go attack. If we're going to build a Dark Age military school, why have the spearmen just sit in our base? Have them go attack something. Obviously, these villagers can get buffed from the cistern for the Akratoid defense, and they can get weapons, but you just want to attack with your spearmen. You don't want the spearmen to die, so just come in here, get one punch, and then pull out, and just repeatedly do that over and over again to idle the villagers. So again, you go up with Twin Minaret, which is fine. We still have 2 spearmen hanging out. We're not getting any value out of the units that we have right now, which we want to get value. A little house, but that's, you know, it happens. So, yeah, I want to see what your strategy is against Byzantine, right? Like, are you going to try to overwhelm them in feudal, or are you going castle quickly? Like, what's your plan to beat the Byzantines? Our spearmen. We look like we might be moving out with them now. We hit feudal. So I did watch this game as well earlier, and I'd like to talk about how we micro our spearmen to make sure that they don't die. I don't know if you know this, but like I said, the Byzantines get the Akratoid defense that they can pop for 30 seconds, and that makes their villagers stronger. So these guys can't fight against this many villagers when he pops that buff. You need to like run in like this, hit a villager, and pull back immediately. You don't want to fight here. See, right here, pull back. And don't fight that. Just wait till he goes back on the resources. Like you're doing right now. That's perfect. And get the spearmen out of there. This is where we make a huge mistake. You don't want to fight. You just get them out of there. And then you can have your spearmen live to fight another day. You still cause good villager idle time here. I mean, it's good idle time. It's just we don't want to lose our spearmen. We poke, run away, poke, run away, poke, run away, poke, run away, and we never want to get the spearmen in that TC range. So I think you got good idle time there, but you could have gotten a lot more efficiency attacking those villagers by keeping your spearmen alive. I'm a more aggressive player But I don't like the double military school here. I think when you hit feudal, we're at 7 minutes right here, and we're throwing down our first unit producer. I don't really count these as real unit producers. Like, yes, they make units, but they're incredibly slow. We gotta throw down a unit producer when we hit feudal and make some units to attack. Unless, like, you're really trying to turtle up. But, you see, the Byzantine guy's got no units right now. If we just hit feudal and made Sipahi, you could raid the crap out of this guy. I feel like that with both of these games. Now he's getting his stable up and horsemen up, but he's not had units. Let's see when he gets his first unit of the game. He gets his first unit of the game in 740. So I think if you were a bit more aggressive in both of these games, things could have gone a lot better for you. You just need to apply a little pressure to the enemy, and you were doing that with the spearmen. It's just unfortunate that the villagers with Byzantine are quite strong. And you don't really need a meter yet because you only have 4 units. I mean, if you get a ball of units, like, yeah, make a meter. But you don't really need one yet. So, it's a fine job rotating the spears over. Yeah, we just want Sipahi out so we can do exactly what the Byzantine guy is doing against you. See what this guy's doing? That's what I want you to do. I want you to make horsemen, and I want you to raid with them. Just like he did too. You see how he attacked here, moved these horsemen around, just had one horseman come in the back and poke you with it. That's kind of what you want to do with some Sipahi. Like, what he's doing right now is he's establishing map control on you, and you can't get out of your base. And that means he can do whatever he wants on his side of the map. He wants to come out here and get berries, stone, go somewhere for deer. Like, he has the ability to do that, and you don't because you're trapped in your base. So at the same time when he does this, he's got horsemen on all sides, right? So we don't want to chase. We don't want to over chase horsemen. We just, like, we push them back, we go back to our base, we defend our villagers. You do a good job with the spearmen just sitting here waiting on them. It was a good job. You get a kill, he gets a villager kill. Yeah, we try to pick these guys off as they come in, but if they run away, just move your guys back and defend the villagers. Like, villagers are the VIPs. They're the guys you keep alive. Again, this gold's raidable right now. Even though he's got troops out here, you could swing a Sipahi back here and hit him. And I think what happened here is just we didn't raid or put pressure on our Byzantine guy fast enough, and he's outproducing us now with that olive oil, and he's going to end up going castle. So we're already a bit behind in this game. If I look at if I focus more on your economy here, this guy's raiding you again. I just want to see this raid. He's going Golden Horde Tower. So a few things. I think this wall on the top's great. The reason I think the wall on the top's great is it secures this deer pack back here and our stone. I could even see you just pulling a wall maybe to right about here where they'd have to go through the TC range. But I think that's a great wall. Protects our backside. I don't like this wall at all. This wall doesn't secure us resources, and it's not easily defendable. So if a bunch of horsemen start attacking this wall, our army really can't get there in time to defend it. And there's this one little wood patch you kind of secure. But with how he was raiding you, I would have been fine if you had just built like a wall from this wood to this gold, and from this gold up to these berries, and maybe even close off right here. But you don't have the ability to defend this wall right now. This wall's a bit closer, and it's defending the deer. So if you had villagers right here harvesting the deer and horsemen were attacking this wall, you could pull them and repair it. So that's why, to me, there's a big difference between those two walls you're setting up. Just kind of key thing, if we're making archers, we want to make sure we get our steeled arrow. And you start throwing down the lumber camps. That's what I was going to pick on you next, was we had guys walking really far to our lumber camp. So I think you guys actually almost have the exact same army here, other than he has longbows and you have the meter. So that could go. I think you have it right here. This is what I was thinking earlier when I watched this replay. Like, keep pushing right here. Pull the archers. If he's running away, like, shit's probably not going well for him, right? So his formation is where the archers are at the back, and man, those Sipahi could pick those guys apart. Just keep fighting right here. We need our archers following. And I feel like you missed a moment right there. Easy, always very easy for me to see in God view. But we missed a moment right there to inflict pain on the enemy. You could have taken that army, and then he'd be off this berries and off this gold. And if the archers were coming, we could have just kept reinforcing units up here and taking control of the front of his base. And you're going to realize that once he hits castle, right? Like, oh crap, if he just hit castle, he's got less units than I have, and I should have pushed him. And you still have the opportunity to do that. As soon as he hits castle, you should have more units than him, and you should be able to immediately attack before he gets his upgrades, do some damage, then pull back and get out of there and go up to castle yourself. That's a lot of the time what people do. You see someone go to castle, you know they just spent 1,800 resources doing so. You attack, deal damage, you go up to castle yourself behind that before his units get upgrades. If you wait till his units get upgrades and he's got a bunch of armored units, then he's going to kick your butt. So you get a wall here. That's a fine wall. I like it. But again, if he actually went to attack this wall, you couldn't defend that, I don't think. So, again, we have a lot of archers, but we don't have +1 range damage. You rush to castle to match his castle, which that's fine. The problem we're going to have here is scalability, which you're way behind him in eco. So he hit castle first. He's gotten 4 villager kills, and you've had idle time on your town center. So just by him building villagers out of his town center more efficiently, he's 5 villagers ahead. He's 5 villagers ahead, and he killed 4. And since he's had map control attacking with these horsemen, look at where this guy is out on the map. So something we need to work on with you, I think, is your scouting to see when your opponent moves out on the map. Let's see if you get this guy. Good kill. Good kill on the monk. Think you get another one over here, maybe? Oh, that's why we need a scout with our army, because you would have had that kill. So, something to think about once you get to this kind of mid-game is, has my opponent run out of gold? Has my opponent run out of food? Has my opponent run out of wood? And when I say that, I mean the deposits, right? So, do they have to expand out on the map? Maybe we see he's got a lot of farms, and he's like, he's probably not on the map for food. But what about gold and wood? And where is he on the map so that we can exploit that? And right now, he's got guys out on the map. I actually have no idea when or how he got those guys back there, because I wasn't paying attention, but you cleaned them up. It's a nice pick for you. But we're at the point in the game where he's got you beaten in eco and he's playing Byzantine, so his economy's better than yours. And you're not going to win this game. Like, you could, but how would you do that? Is you would do that by raiding him and killing villagers. But again, we've got our Sipahi in the base. And they're not really doing us any good in the base. They're just hanging out. You know, we're not getting value out of those units. This guy's having the gold mine city over here with 2 gold mines. I'm not even sure exactly why he did it like that, but listen, he's got it figured out. I do not. Yeah, if our Sipahi got back here, man, we would be reeking. You know the scene out of Gladiator, which is Unleash Hell? That's like this for this gold mine. So we'll watch the rest of this, but I've kind of given my 2 cents on how this game is going to go. And we're going to see the final push here, and he's just got more units than you at this point. So you actually have 2 mangonels here. Key thing in the fight, we want mangonels to hit this back line of ranged infantry. The fight actually got a little loud for me. Yeah, the mangonels have to hit this back line of ranged infantry. We surround the mangonels with our own troops, and we nail this back line. Watch how much damage just 1 mangonel does when you hit the back line. 2 mangonel shots would have killed all those units. So, again, it's going to be a GG. What key takeaways here, I think, for you are, which you need to work on in general, is raiding the opponent. Like, we need to use our Sipahi to idle villagers and kill villagers. And I think overall just be a little bit more aggressive, right? Like, we don't want our opponents to sit in their base and go through their build order unbothered. We want to apply some pressure to throw them off. Because I think what I've seen in both these games is you're always the guy under duress. Like, guy or girl. Not sure which. So they're constantly attacking you. You're constantly defending, which puts a lot of pressure on you. You can't move out of your base. You have to build walls. That's extra resource investment. And they kind of take momentum of the game that way. It's the same way with the White Tower. So I would hope that you can focus some on your map control, and that will help map control aggressiveness. And it's fine to keep units at home to defend, spearmen, archers, depending on what the opponent's building. But I'd love to see you attack with Sipahi some. Attack opponent's resources, whether it's idling them, killing them. And I think, especially in this matchup, in the English matchup, that will help you a ton. So if you have any further questions for me, just let me know in the YouTube comments. And thanks for taking the time to watch.